Ever wondered what it would be like to die on another planet? It's a rather morbid thought, I know, but the universe is a fascinatingly dangerous place, and our solar system alone is home to some truly inhospitable worlds. Today, we're exploring the deadliest planets in our solar system and how each one would end your life in a unique and terrifying way. Buckle up, space fans, because this is going to be a wild ride through the cosmic graveyard. So, you want to be a Martian pioneer, huh? Bold move! Mars has captured our imaginations for centuries as a potential second home for humanity, but let's be clear, Mars does not want you there. First off, that thin atmosphere, yeah, it's practically non-existent, about 1% the density of Earth's. Forget breathing without a spacesuit. You'll be lucky to last 90 seconds before you pass out from hypoxia. And the air that is there, mostly carbon dioxide, so good luck with that. Temperature-wise, prepare for the extremes. The average Martian day might hover around minus 62 degrees Celsius, but it can plummet to minus 140 degrees Celsius at the poles. Did I mention the dust storms? They can engulf the entire planet, blocking out the sun for months. So, dying on Mars, think slow suffocation, freezing, and probably a side of radiation poisoning for good measure. Venus, often described as Earth's evil twin, and for good reason. This scorching, hot, volcanic hellscape would be a terrible place to call home. Imagine stepping foot on Venus. Instantly you're slammed with an atmosphere 90 times denser than Earth's. It's like trying to walk through water, but the water is trying to crush you. The air itself is toxic, a choking mix of carbon dioxide and sulfuric acid clouds. Oh, and did I mention the heat? Venus boasts a surface temperature of around 464 degrees Celsius. Hot enough to melt lead. You wouldn't freeze, you wouldn't suffocate, you'd be cooked alive in an instant, like a pizza in a blast furnace. Now let's take a trip to the outer solar system, shall we? Neptune, the 8th planet from the Sun, is known for its stunning blue hue. Beautiful, right? Don't let that fool you. Neptune is a frigid, swirling nightmare of an ice giant. Temperatures in Neptune's atmosphere can plunge to a bone-chilling minus 214 degrees Celsius. You'd freeze solid in an instant. And if the cold doesn't get you, the winds will. Neptune boasts the fastest wind speeds in the solar system, reaching a mind-blowing 2,100 kilometers per hour. Imagine being whipped around at supersonic speeds in a freezing, methane-filled atmosphere. Death on Neptune, quick, brutal, and utterly unforgiving. Chapter 4, Jupiter's crushing gravity, death in the giant's grip. Jupiter, the king of our solar system. This gas giant is so massive, you could fit 1,300 Earths inside it. But don't let that grandeur fool you. Jupiter is a place of unimaginable violence and extreme conditions. Let's talk about that great red spot, shall we? It's a storm that's been raging for centuries, big enough to swallow Earth whole. And the gravity? Well, let's just say you'd be a lot heavier on Jupiter. If you could stand on its surface, which you can't because it's a gas giant, you'd weigh 2.5 times what you weigh on Earth. You'd be crushed under your own weight, assuming you haven't already been ripped apart by the intense atmospheric pressure and hurricane-force winds. Chapter 5, Saturn's rings, a beautiful yet deadly end. Saturn, the jewel of our solar system. Those rings are mesmerizing, aren't they? But let's not get distracted by the bling. Saturn is a gas giant, just like Jupiter, and it comes with its own set of deadly challenges. For starters, it's cold out there, really cold. Temperatures in Saturn's upper atmosphere can drop to minus 178 degrees Celsius. You'd freeze solid before you even got close to those rings. And speaking of rings, those beautiful bands of ice and rock are constantly colliding, creating a hazardous environment. Getting caught in a ring storm would be like being caught in a cosmic blender. Chapter 6. The frozen death of Uranus, a cold and unforgiving planet. Uranus, the ice giant with the sideways tilt. This planet is weird, even by space standards. It's tilted on its side, which means it essentially rolls around the sun on its belly, but let's not get distracted by its quirky orientation. Uranus is a cold, dark, and incredibly windy place. Temperatures in its atmosphere can drop to a frigid minus 224 degrees Celsius, making it the coldest planetary atmosphere in our solar system, and those winds, they can reach speeds of up to 900 kilometers per hour. Imagine being blasted by freezing winds while being plunged into darkness. Chapter 7. Mercury, the planet where heat and cold meet. Mercury, the smallest planet in our solar system and the closest to the Sun. It's a place of extremes. On the side facing the Sun, temperatures can soar to a scorching 430 degrees Celsius. But on the side facing away from the Sun, temperatures plummet to a frigid minus 180 degrees Celsius. Talk about a temperature swing. Mercury has a very thin atmosphere, practically non-existent, which means there's no protection from the sun's radiation or the extreme temperatures. You'd either bake in the intense heat or freeze in the bitter cold, all while being bombarded by radiation. Ah, the moon, our celestial neighbor. It seems so close, yet it's a harsh and unforgiving mistress. No air to breathe, no atmosphere to speak of. Just a desolate landscape of craters and dust. Let's talk about the vacuum of space, shall we? It's not just the lack of oxygen that'll kill you, it's the lack of pressure. Your blood would boil, your body would swell, and your lungs would collapse. And then there's the temperature. On the lunar surface, temperatures can swing from a scorching 127 degrees Celsius during the day to a frigid minus 173 degrees Celsius at night. You'd either bake in your spacesuit or freeze solid. Neptune, the other blue giant in our solar system, often gets overshadowed by its larger sibling Uranus. But don't let that fool you. Neptune is a wild and violent world with winds that would make a hurricane look like a gentle breeze. We're talking about wind speeds that can reach a mind-blowing 2,100 kilometers per hour, faster than the speed of sound. These winds are driven by the intense heat deep within Neptune's core, and they whip around the planet with incredible force. Imagine being caught in a Neptunian windstorm. You'd be tossed around like a rag doll, battered by ice crystals and frozen methane. Let's face it, gas giants are just plain bad news for humans. Jupiter and Saturn, the two biggest planets in our solar system, are no exception. Imagine plummeting through the thick, swirling atmosphere of Jupiter. You'd be subjected to crushing pressures and scorching temperatures, all while being buffeted by hurricane-force winds. Oh, and did I mention the lightning storms? Jupiter's lightning bolts are thousands of times more powerful than anything we experience here on Earth. Saturn might be a bit less intense than Jupiter, but it's still no picnic. The winds on Saturn can reach speeds of up to 1,800 kilometers per hour, and the planet is shrouded in thick clouds of ammonia ice. You'd be frozen, crushed, and suffocated all at the same time. Thanks for joining us on this morbid journey through our solar system. We've explored the deadliest planets and moons, from the scorching heat of Venus to the crushing gravity of Jupiter. It's a reminder that we are incredibly lucky to live on a planet that is perfectly suited for life as we know it. So the next time you're feeling down about Earth, just remember that it could be a whole lot worse. You could be on Venus, melting like an ice cube on a hot stove. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more fascinating space content. And be sure to let us know in the comments which deadly planet you'd least like to visit.